All right, to the news of the day before we get to the politics. If you are paying off a house like me and a third of the country, little teensy weensy, little bit of good news.
For the first time in 2 years, Australia's official cash rate is sitting below 4%.
The Reserve Bank Board decided to slash its official rate by 1/4%.
The Reserve Bank announcing its second rate cut for the year.
Hello, Amy. Now, why did they cut the rate today? Second time this year. The first time was in February. That was a massive mover of millions of people when it came to voting at the federal election. Well, the Reserve Bank Governor tells us why we got a little tinsy-wincy cut today.
Now, we've done this because the most recent quarterly CPI confirmed that both headline and underlying inflation are now under 3%. So price increases have slowed and it's fairly broadly based, and this is very good news.
And remember, Jim Chalmers just happened to put out during the election that this is just one of a cascading amount of rate cuts to come.
Markets are now expecting around 4 interest rate cuts in Australia this calendar year.
Oh, maybe not. Why? Orange man bad. Remember, they've got a complete cover story for the next 4 years. Whatever bad happens in Australia, Trump's fault. Whatever good happens in Australia, Chalmers' responsibility. You see how this is going to work? Well, according to the Australian newspaper and its analysis of what was being said by the Reserve Bank today, they say that mortgage relief for millions, but the RBA is not expected to do much more, meaning don't get ready. Well, that's probably about as many cuts as going to come our way. Now, I'm going to on and off with the glasses, and you can see the Commodore 64 is doing great tonight. But geopolitical uncertainties also remain pronounced. These developments are expected to have an adverse effect on global economic activity, particularly if households and firms delay expenditure pending greater clarity on the outlook. Translation, this might be it. So the suggestion of 4 or maybe 5, because you see the economy was going to be so bad because of Trump, but then the stock market levelled out, both here and in the United States, that the promise that, of course, was not at all political during an election campaign for 4, maybe 5 rate cuts this calendar year, well, we may well be tapping out at 2. Now, as a person paying off a mortgage, I want there to be 7, 8, 9 cuts. But let's also put this in some context. One of the reasons why perhaps the streets are not being filled like they were at the end of World War II with celebrating Australians, knowing that tyranny was behind them, was because the total amount that the average person on about a $600-and-something thousand mortgage has had to pay since the interest rates started to go up in 2022 is a grand total of an extra $18,000 per year. That's been at least more than 1 year, so you can do your own sums there. The February cut, the May cut, is $2,400 off each and every year. Now, good, but you've already had to spend, what, $30-something thousand extra. So forgive me if $2,000 is not going to result in people running around in the streets. However, the Treasurer, of course, remember, bad news Trump, good news Chalmers, and today being a good news day, asterisk, maybe, well, Chalmers, of course, patting himself on the back.
This is the second interest rate cut in the last 3 months. It does reflect the very substantial and sustained progress that we've made together on inflation in our economy.
Now, I don't know if she's auditioning for a job in what is now an increasingly smaller pool of people to choose from when it comes to the opposition and its front bench. But the freshly re-elected member for Flinders, Zoe McKenzie, well, she nailed the reality today when she was having a chat with Chris Kenny that, yes, down is good. Down is good. But it is not way down. And remember, 13 up, 2 down means the collective pressure of 11 interest rates is still there on the average homeowner.
I'm sure Jim Chalmers is having a great time patting himself on the back for today's one increment in the right direction, but we've got a long way to go before there's confidence in business circles and an ability for businesses to keep growing and keep employing and keep providing opportunity for Australians.